We meet Joe, who lives in a futuristic world, and we see a photo of his girlfriend near his bed. 2 months ago, Joe, who runs his bookstore, meet his girlfriend Ash, who came to buy a book. They both flirt with each other, and Ash asks him for coffee, and they go out and have a good time. They both click a picture, and later Joe meets Oliver, who runs a newspaper stand near his home. He meets Ash for coffee, and she says she wants to tell something, and we meet a person called Hunter. He hits a man who pushes him, and Ash says she loves Joe and says she is not from here. Suddenly Hunter comes there and shoots Ash in the head and kills her, and Joe is shocked and cries. He follows Hunter, but he vanishes in a lane, and we see Joe is now depressed and very sad in his home. His home AI asks him to go outside, but Joe hasn't left his home for 2 weeks and stays inside alone. Next day, Oliver comes to meet him and says he has brought coffee for him, and Joe allows him to come in. Joe tries to drink coffee but spills it and says he doesn't like anything without Ash and cries. Oliver tells him to be strong and says he will come back again tomorrow and leaves from there. At night, Joe leaves his house and goes to a shop to buy a gun and returns back home with a pistol and bullets. He is sad and wants to end his life and fills the gun with bullets and fires the gun on his head. Nothing happens, and he tries again with same result. He fires the gun in his home and it shoots. The home AI decides to call police thinking Joe is in danger, but Joe stops him and says it was an accident. He tries again to shoot himself with same result and fires the gun on window and breaks the glass. He jumps down but sees he is floating in air and suddenly wakes up in his bed and sees he is alive. He receives a new message from Ash and sees the gun is still there and window is also fixed. He leaves his home and sees the people are glitching and so are the building around him. Joe meets Oliver and asks whether he can see he has received messages from Ash, and Oliver says yes. Joe thinks he is going mad, and Oliver says to go home and rest and later check the messages from Ash. Joe plays the video from Ash and she says something might have happened to her if he is seeing this. She says she wants his help and says she has sent a parcel to his bookstore and asks him to bring it to his home. Joe decides to help her, and we see a woman named Erica tracking and following Joe through cameras. Joe goes to the store and receives a book which he opens and touches and feels something strange. We see Erica's men are following him, and Erica asks them to take the book and kill Joe. Erica's team activates some other men who start following Joe and go in his building with him. They follow him to his floor, and Joe receives a message to be careful and him being followed. Joe quickly goes inside and tries to close the door and tells his assistant to call the police for help. He grabs his gun and fires and hides behind the counter, and the man comes inside to find Joe. Joe fires his gun but misses, but something happens to him and he fires again and accurately kills him. Joe is also surprised and hears someone else coming and sees another man and starts fighting with him. Suddenly Joe sees he can fight very easily with the man and hears him talking with someone. Joe fights him and easily defeats him and comes inside his home and sees he has a message from Ash. He comes to know he is actually talking to Ash through video call and is shocked to see her alive. Ash says time works differently from where she is, and Joe says he watched her die, so how is she alive? Ash says there is a technology which has developed years ago with help of AI and machine learning. An engineer named Hunter, who worked for Suntech, was collecting all data of the world to create a virtual reality. He tried very hard to build it but couldn't succeed, but one day he met another coder who offered to help. This coder became Hunter's mentor and helped him design the virtual world, and Hunter was able to complete it. He tested the world and saw he could change and control everything in this and made a digital universe. Hunter made a world with billions of people with different emotions, and he would use this world for research. He would test anything in this world like weapons, medicines, etc. before making them in real world. He soon becomes CEO of Suntech and made different versions of World and did many experiments. Hunter spent 10 years testing worlds, and Joe realizes he is also in one of the worlds, and he is not real. Ash says Hunter made 497 worlds, and she loves Joe, but Joe says he is a virtual man and not real. Joe is shocked, and Ash says she in real world and was able to get out before she was caught by Suntech. Ash says the Hunter killing these many people for research was not ethically correct, so he hid the world. She found a way to come in and found Joe and says Hunter has admin access to the world to enter and exit when he wants. Ash says the book has the data to get out of here, and Joe sees Oliver Photo, who is the coder who helped Hunter. Joe says Oliver is his friend, and Ash says maybe Oliver is also hiding from Hunter and can help him. Erica meets Hunter and tells him they're finding it difficult to clean the data after he killed Ash. Hunter asks her to do her job and says the virtual world is worthless and he can use it to experiment. He can perfect his research and save the real world by sacrificing few billion people in virtual world. Erica says the court does not see this as correct, and Hunter asks her to find Ash in real world. Ash contacts Oliver and asks him how can she get back in, and he says she will require a network key. They are difficult to find, and she hears someone coming, and we see police has arrived and search for her. Ash hides and escapes from there and comes to meet Oliver and tells Hunter is after her in real world. She says she went in the system to find what Hunter was doing and stop him from destroying worlds. Oliver says they can learn more about virtual world by studying it, and he had saved Joe from killing himself. Ash says she needs his help to get back in, and Oliver realizes she really loves him and agrees to help. He asks her to hide in a hotel till he finds the network key, and Ash does it and later logs in the system. She meets Joe, and Hunter comes to know about this, and Ash says she loves him and will find a way out. Joe says he also loves her but doesn't know if it is real or just his program making him say so. They both kiss each other, and Joe still doesn't believe her, and Ash disappears and comes to know Oliver pulled her out. Hunter has found her location, and she runs from there, and Joe meets Oliver and tells him about Ash. Real Oliver takes control of Oliver in the world and tells Joe Ash is in trouble and says Hunter is going to kill her. He says Hunter is going to end Joe's world and create a new one, and Joe needs to carry the data out of here. Oliver says he needs Joe to enter developer mode and carry the backup data of this world to outside. He asks Joe to upload this data, and this way he can help Ash, and gives him a key and gives him a location. He needs to find the room and complete the upload, and Ash runs from the police who try to kill her. Joe goes home and takes his gun, and Ash fights with the police and manages to defeat him but is caught by other officer. Joe is followed by Bella's men, and Hunter meets Ash, who is angry on her for entering his world. She says he has no right to play with lives, and Hunter says he can do what he wants and has to meet someone. Ash sees she can hack and control the officer, and Hunter goes to meet Oliver and tells him not to interfere in his world. Oliver says it's not his world alone, but he helped to create it, and now Hunter is killing people in it. Oliver says Hunter is behaving like a child and has gone crazy with power, and he does not want to do anything with him now. Hunter is happy to hear this, and suddenly Oliver feels a pain in neck and realizes he has been caught in real world. Hunter's men have found him and are choking him in real world, and Oliver disappears from the world. He dies in real world, and Joe finds the room and gets a message to begin the upload of data. He begins upload of data by touching the panel, and Erica comes to know about this and asks to stop him. Her men try to stop him, but Joe finishes his upload and sees some men down and decides to use the key. He then selects weapons and finds many in a cabinet and chooses a gun and readies himself for the men. Joe kills them and suddenly vanishes from there and sees himself in front of Hunter, who asks him be calm. He says he controls everything here and says he can shoot him and kill him anytime he wants and takes his gun. He brings the panel which makes Joe float, and Hunter starts erasing him and killing him, but Joe resists. He fights back and Hunter is unable to erase him, and Joe shoots at him and Hunter escapes to real world. Erica asks what is going on and Hunter says it's time to reboot the world and begins the process. He tells Joe also about this, and Ash asks Hunter to tell her say bye to Joe, and he agrees to her wish. Hunter calls Joe and makes her talk to Ash, and he sees his world is disappearing behind him one by one. He sees he is also disappearing and says he loves her and sees all things vanish and deletion is completed. Ash is angry on him and Hunter decides to kill her, and Erica asks him to stop, but he doesn't listen. Suddenly, he sees the globe on his desk starts moving and it rises up and disappears and sees Oliver. Hunter says he killed Oliver, but Oliver says there are many worlds, and this is also one of them. Oliver created a world within a world, and they all see Joe is still alive and Oliver brings him back. Joe has a gun and asks the officer to free Ash, who is surprised and shocked to see him alive again. Hunter tries to stop him, but Joe has a gun and Hunter asks his men to kill Joe, but sees he is disappearing. Erica attacks and stops the officer and takes a knife and frees Ash, and Hunter says nothing is real. Joe shoots him many times and Hunter falls down the building and dies, and Ash hugs Joe. Ash says Joe is real for her and comes to know she is also like him, created in virtual world. Later they both meet again in their favorite cafe and kiss each other and feel happy to be free. Oliver comes to meet them and Joe asks him how many virtual worlds are there in total. Oliver says Hunter created one world with his help, which was Ash's world, and then Joe's world was created in her world. There could be infinite number of worlds like this, and Joe has been brought up a world from his to Ash's world. Oliver copied Joe's code to Ash's world and brought him here and says Joe is free to live his own life. Oliver says Hunter was born out his pride and he tried to destroy everything, but Ash was born out of empathy. She saved Joe and even loved him, and this way all worlds can be saved, and Oliver says this world is now of Joe too. When this world will reach its highest technology level, a new world will be created, and says maybe his own world is also virtual. Oliver tells them to enjoy life with each other till they find the real world, and they both agree and kiss. Later, Oliver enjoys a drink in his home and feels he got this world right and disappears from there to new world.